What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Something More Comfortable, the Black Velvet Experience. I am your host, Black Velvet. So, today's episode, I will be addressing a story of a husband and a wife, and there's some infidelity in that marriage. This is a special request from a friend of mine in Alabama, and I just wanted to read the story and then get into what my thought process is. Normally, of course, I have a guest, but these particular episodes, it will just be me. It will be me just addressing anything that you guys may send in. That way I can answer any questions to the best of my ability. Maybe you have a scenario and you want to get my thought process on it, whatever it is. Of course, like I said, this is a place where you can feel comfortable, where you can understand that there is no judgment here. You feel however you feel. Your relationships are what they are. I have no place to even be a judge. Knowing that I have been through pretty much every single type of situation that there is out there to go through. So, been cheated on, have cheated, all of those things. So, at the end of the day, you know, this is, like I said, a place of no judgment. It allows me to, having been through everything that I've been through, be able to see it from all sides and simply give you my thought process on it based on the facts, not on anything else but the facts. No emotions, nothing like that. Again, these episodes won't be as long because they will just be me kind of tackling a particular question or set of questions. So depending on how many questions come in and how many I pick at any one time, that will be all there will be. So, you know, episode may be only 15, 20 minutes, or it could be longer depending on, like I said, how many questions or scenarios that may be presented. And there will be some times where I will take you guys questions or take your guys scenarios and I will have a guest and then we will tackle that. But this particular one, I figured, you know what, let me just tackle it myself, just to kind of get these started, you know, seeing as this is another format that is being added to the other one. You know, the show where I do a poem, you know, talk with the guest and we have these questions. Also with those, we won't be doing like these canned questions. It will just be conversation. But with that being said, let me get into this particular one. Again, I hope that my homeboy is listening or watching and that what I will say will be edifying to his spirit and really to anybody that is listening and seeing this and really get a better understanding of these kind of situations. So the title of this is called My Wife Does Not Know That I Know. I have been married for 14 years. We have 3 kids, all boys, but none of them belong to me. I know this for a fact, but my wife does not know that I know. Let me explain. 5 years before I met my wife, I was involved in a car accident with 2 friends. Our car skidded off the road. I was the only survivor of that accident. I spent about 11 months in the hospital, and that left me with a condition that says that I can't have children. I gave my life to Jesus Christ and became committed Christian after the event. In summary, I became a pastor in a local church in our community. 5 years later, and I met my wife in the process. I did not tell her about my condition because I was hopeful that God would heal me. 6 years into our marriage, my wife got pregnant and had our first child. To be sure, I secretly went and got a DNA test, and it was clear I was not the father. I repeated the test for all 3 children, and they all were not mine. I have been living with this situation for the past 8 years, and I am beginning to get irritated by both the children and my wife. My wife pretends to be a good wife. She goes around preaching to young women in the church about the need to remain faithful to their partners, but she has had 3 children by another man or men I don't know. I want to confront her, but am confused as to how to go about this situation. I am just angry and irritated by everyone in my house lately. I feel like a stranger in my own home. What should I do? And so it says at the end of it, please be honest. And I'm going to do just that. So let's get into this. So let's dissect this first. So this man had an accident, right, with his friends, 2 of his friends, years before he met his wife. So 5 years before he met his wife, he got into an accident. And he has been told, and whatever happened to him during that accident made it to where, one, he was in the hospital for almost a year. But then 2, the fact that he cannot have children. She has had 3 children. He went and had a DNA test for all 3 children secretly behind her back. And in all that, he stayed in the marriage, but it is now becoming 8 years into them having these children. He is now not happy with not only his wife, but he's also not happy with the children, because in reality, they are not his children, or at least in his mind, they are not his children. And there's a reason why I say that. I simply say that because whether or not they are biologically his, they only know him as their father. So regardless of whether or not they, whether or not by DNA he is the father, which he says he knows he is not, the reality of it is that that he is the only father that they know, right? So, but before we ever even get into any of that, let's go back to the beginning of this. The beginning of this is deceit. And I know you're like, on her part? No. On his part. He is being deceitful. And how is he being deceitful, you might ask me? He's being deceitful in the fact that you already know that you have a condition that makes it to where you can't have children. And listen, by no means am I saying should you not have faith. I would never tell anybody to not believe in God, not believe that God is a healer, not believe that God is capable of doing great things. However, you have been told you cannot have children. Even if God is which we know he is a way maker, you cannot go into a relationship or a situation holding back information that is pertinent to that other person. Because you have to really, really think to yourself, if she wanted children, right? So like me, for example, like I want children and have always wanted children, right? It would be wrong of a woman to come to me and in our conversations and in our interactions before we ever get married, she knows that I want children. And she knows that she cannot have them. For her not to tell me, not to be upfront about that, right? So the fact of the matter is, no matter how he felt about it, there is an obligation by this man to tell this woman that he cannot have kids. These are conversations that need to happen. So regardless of what you think or how you feel, the reality is these are conversations that need to happen when you are marrying somebody, because this is the thing. We don't have time as adults to play these childish games. And that is a very childish game. You should go in with your whole truth, right? Because the reality is that if this person cannot accept and love and support and honor and all of those things, your real truth, then that's okay. But you at least know for a fact. And they know, okay, he can't provide children. She can't have children. That's fine. That way I know, and then I can make the determination of whether or not I stay in this relationship before it ever even gets to marriage. Because if you tell me something like that within the first 6 months and I know I really want children, I am going to walk away, or I should. Because, again, we don't always do what we really should do, because it's like, man, well, I really still love them and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that the desire for children is going to be there, because it was there before they got there, and it isn't going to go away just because you got this person. So there's that. Now that we have addressed that part, so again, he is deceitful in the fact that he is not putting out his full information. He is not giving that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's not really necessary. Yes, it is. Why do we feel like it is okay to lie to people? And yes, you can lie to a person by omission. So why do we feel like it's okay to be deceitful? I'm going to hold back things that I know about myself. I know this thing about myself. I'm going to hold that back because I want to be with you. You see what I'm saying? See how that's deceitful? So I'm going to hold something back from you because I want to be with you, and I'm not going to allow you to know everything up front and allow you to make a decision based on that full disclosure, right? All right. So now that we've addressed him, now let's address her. So I want to get into what is the because we spend a lot of time being spiritual. And it's like we're spiritual beings, we're spiritual creatures, right? The reality is we are also physical. We are like animals do what we do, but we try because we can think, because we have cognitive ability and we can create things and all that stuff, that we're not like animals, but we are so much like animals to a heavy extent. In the sense that, okay, so this is what happens in the animal kingdom. A lot of times in the animal kingdom, a female, because it's not a woman, but a female animal picks the most virile male in that species to procreate with. Flat out. The female picks the most virile male to procreate with, right? So I can almost guarantee, but of course it's not 100%, but I can almost guarantee that the man, because I really feel like she is having those kids by the same individual, not by a bunch of different people, by the same man. Because that man is virile. It is likely somebody from her past as well, right? It is more than likely somebody from her past. Again, Nothing is 100%. I wouldn't, but I'm going to be honest with you. I would be willing to bet money on it, though. That is likely somebody from her past that is not worth a damn. Right? Because watch this. There's two things that there's the difference between just the animal kingdom is just about the most virile man. I want to have my babies because then they're going to have the best chance of surviving out here in the wild with a daddy who is virile, right? But a lot of times what will happen with women in animal kingdom, lions, whatever, they will hide their offspring from the male. Because why? Because sometimes those males will try to kill the children, will try to kill the offspring, right? So I'm going to hide them. That is literally what a woman does, a human being does when she has babies by somebody that's trifling but strong. And again, we can try to argue this all day, but it's the truth. Women they will have a baby with a man, and it's like, why would you keep having babies with this? And he isn't worth a damn, right? But the reason being is because regardless of his behavior and his thought process and his mentality, he's virile. He's masculine. He is a lot of the physical traits that he has, I want my children to have, right? So, but now I have to, like I said, with the lions or different animals, they will hide the offspring from the male because the male will try to eat them, will try to destroy them, will try to consume them. Even if it's his own, will sometimes kill it, right? So the mother will many times try to hide that child from that and we all know how destructive a man that ain't got no drive, no ambition, no goals, no none of that stuff, how detrimental he will be to his offspring. It will be almost as if he did eat them up, as if he did kill them, right? So what she then does is find a safe place to put her babies. So where does she put them? She puts them with this man that is a pastor. She puts them with this man that, quote unquote, society would call soft. But in a way he is, because he's essentially this place. He has created an environment for her and now these children, right, to be able to thrive, because he probably, in him loving God, they're going to get God from him. They're going to get the Holy Spirit and some lessons and how to handle money and how to take care of women and how to, take care of a household. They're going to learn how to be a man from the pastor, but he ain't got what it takes to even create them in the first place. So she got them created somewhere else, but she then brought them to him because he created an environment that allows her to, in a way, she is hiding herself in that space, but she's like, listen, I got to protect my babies. And the way I protect them is by putting them with this man that is going to love on them, that is going to support them, and is going to provide not just financially, not just a roof over the head, not just clothes, but is going to provide them with sound advice, sound doctrine when it comes to, because he's a pastor, going to provide him with all of these things, those three boys, all of these things, right? Now watch this. So, so he now is saying at the end of or 8 years into this. So I'm trying to, I see what it is. It's that he now has 3 kids that don't belong to him, but that are his children because he has been raising them, right? But they're starting to get on his nerves, and his wife is starting to get on his nerves. And it's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. This is the reality. The reality of it is you feel like a stranger in your own home because, one, you were not honest from the jump. Because what would have happened is if you would have been honest from the jump and then she would have gotten pregnant, she would have ran, that she would have did a lot of other stuff, but she wouldn't have brought that baby back to you. But because you weren't honest in the beginning, she just brought it back to you and made you feel like, and played the role like, baby, this your baby, and we having a baby, and this is da-da-da. And she played the role, right? But then the other thing is, the reason why you don't really hate them or getting on your nerves is the fact of, or they may be getting on your nerves. So I don't want to say that they're not getting on his nerves, but what I want to say is that the reality is it is eating at you. And with each kid, it's eating at your spirit more and more. So the reason why I'm able to even speak on this, right? I know you're probably wondering. So my first wife, we got married young. Stupid. Not saying that everybody that's ever married young is dumb. I'm saying me and her specifically, stupid, right? Worst decision. I can't say it's the worst decision I've ever made, but it was something that if I could take it back, I wouldn't do it again. Let's go with that. So, long story short, Illinois really, back then, even now, really isn't that great of a place to be able to be financially stable, to create a family, to have that kind of thing. And so she's like, yo, you should go to the Air Force. And at first I'm like, whatever. But then I eventually decide to go to the Air Force. And I know anybody that knows me is like, wait, I thought you was in the Navy. Yes. Long story short, I ended up in the Navy, not the Air Force. But either way, I went and talked to an Air Force recruiter, end up in the Navy, end up going to boot camp, end up going to my schooling to get my job, right? And when I get done with that school, that second school down in Georgia, and I come back to Illinois, and I'm with my mom, and the only reason I'm even with my mom and not with my wife is because she has already told me that she is not going to South Carolina with me. She's already let it be known, like, I'm not going to South Carolina with you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not gonna. It's not a whole lot I can do about it. I'm not one of those people. I'm not about to fight and fuss and cry and argue and none of that with you. If you tell me something and I'm gonna ask you a couple times and you say for sure, cool. All right, you sure? Well, then she calls me and tells me, and she sounds upset, and I can hear it in her voice that she sounds upset. Long story short, she's pregnant. I've been gone, so she's probably like a month pregnant. I've been gone for 3 months. Long story short, anybody, because people have asked me without knowing that part of it, they're like, well, how do you know it's not your baby? Well, when you're gone for 3 months and somebody is pregnant for a month, kind of goes that way. Either way. But the reality of it was that the minute I knew about that first one, that was the end of that. There wasn't any further, like, I didn't play with it. I didn't, like, go along with it. I didn't think that maybe it was mine. None of that. I immediately shut it down. That's what he should have done from the gate. So already, one, you should have already told her that you couldn't have children. So then that way, if there ever was a time when she did come up pregnant, she would realize that she had already messed up and that this was not going to end well. And it really, there could have been so many other things that would have happened. You wouldn't even be here all these years later, 8 years, and now you're upset because you got these 3 boys. This is the thing you got to say to yourself. Why did you stay? Flat out. Why did you stay? Don't make it a religion thing, because the reality is, even in the very religion that because he's a pastor, even in that religion, even in Christianity, you could have let her go because she was cheating on you. And you know for a fact she was cheating on you because she has a kid that isn't yours, because you can't have children. So there's that, right? So then that, like I said, why did you stay? Ask that question. In wanting people to be honest, why did you stay? Then it's like, whatever that reason was, okay, cool, great. Let that still be the reason. Not saying that at any point you can't change your mind and decide, I don't want to do this anymore. But you have played the charade for this long. And you have allowed those boys to believe that you are their father. And kids is going to get on your nerves whether they your blood or not. I think the only reason that the kids even got on his nerves or really upsetting him or making him feel some kind of way is simply because why? Because he knows that she's, one, unfaithful. He knows that they are not his. So those are really the reason. And as a man, I could see, well, really as a woman, I could see the same thing where you know that ain't your kid and you're trying to play the part, but it's eating at you. Obviously, with a woman, it's a lot easier to tell, like, that ain't my baby because I wasn't pregnant. But for a man, it's a little bit different. But that's what I'm saying. So now your ego is eating at you. But I would say, and this is what my thought process is on it, and I would really love to hear what you guys think about it. Like I said, leave it in the comments. Leave it, wherever, Apple has it, wherever Google has it, wherever, Spotify and Podbean and Anchor have it. Leave the comments what your thoughts are. But this is the thing. I think this is what I think he should do. I think that he should confront her about it. One, don't be weak. Don't be a weak man. Don't be weak, period. Because it isn't just, don't be a weak man, but women can be weak. No, don't be weak. Don't be weak. Confront her about it. Now, mind you, yes, you have let it go this long, but don't, and this is the other thing. Don't confront her in some kind of like, kind of way. Don't do that, because you don't let it go for 8 years. You ain't that mad. You ain't that upset. You're not that angry. If you wasn't angry at the first one, and you wasn't angry at the second one, and you wasn't angry at the third one, and the fact that you let all these years go by, don't try to act like you super mad about it now. Just because now the weight of it and the years of it, and again, because kids are going to be annoying. Kids are going to do things that are going to get on your nerves, and it just is what it is, whether they're your blood or they're not, right? But don't do that now. So go to her like a man. Talk to her. Say, listen, this is what it is. This is the situation. And this is my other thought. She hasn't had any more kids besides those 3. And I don't really know how old each of them are or how old the last one is. And so you don't know if maybe that was the last time. And she finally was like, you know what? Maybe she felt convicted because of how loving you were and how good you were to those boys that she decided, you know what? I'm done. I stop. I'm gonna stop messing with that trifling man, and I'm going to be with my husband, and I'm going to be faithful, right? But all of these things come from not assuming, but what? But actually taking the time to sit down and handle it like adults. Go to her. You say to her, hey, I know that you have been cheating on me, right? I know that you have been cheating on me. That's one. Two, I know that none of those boys are mine. Okay? And then from there, once you have laid out those two things, period. Oh, I'm sorry. 3, that I cannot have children. That's how I know that none of those are mine. I couldn't have children before I met you, right? So you do all that, right? Because like I said, it a lot of years have passed, but do all that. And then you say to her, do you love him? Do you love me? And that's it. It's you have to have real conversation because again, you clearly love her more than you're letting on because you went for all those years and had 3 children and dealt with those 3 children. And then so this is how you do this. It's one of 2 ways. You either let it go or you let it go. You know what I mean? Watch this. This is what I mean when I say that. You either let it go, you talk to her, you have your conversation, you put it out on the table, you lay it out and because this is one of 2 things. Because she could say, I'm done, or she could say, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm still dealing with him, or maybe she stopped. But figure out what that is. But either you let it go by letting the relationship go. Depending on what state you are in, you may be screwed as far as child support goes. But hey, hopefully, you live in a good state that allows you to be like, yo, these aren't my children. These ain't my kids. They never been. But again, a lot of states are going to say no one cares because for all of these years, these 3 boys only know you as their father. So, like I said, you've already set yourself up for failure. But again, I don't really see it as being failure, but you have already set yourself up because you have quietly accepted this. You can't then 8 years later now decide I don't want to do this anymore and expect that financially you may still be on the hook. But like I said, you can let it go physically. So you could have nothing to do with her. I still don't think that I would ever stop having something to do with them, but that's only because they're my kids. I'm the only dad that they know. The kids don't deserve to be punished for their mother's mistake. But again, just my personal opinion. Y'all might have a difference of opinion. I would love to hear it. But then the other thing is, if she says, I'm sorry, baby, I've stopped dealing with him, it won't ever happen again, I'm whatever. And y'all decide that you have decided to forgive her. And it's like, baby, but because all they know is you as a father. Because again, she's going to use that. She's going to say to you, like, you are the only father that they know. Why would you remove yourself from their lives? They only know you. And so you being who you are, whether it because you're a pastor, whether because you really genuinely love her and you really genuinely love them, you're going to let it go. You are going to forgive her and you're going to let it go. But either way, let it go. But don't, it's like, don't keep, I feel like a stranger in my own home. How are you a stranger in your own home? Because you are their father. So it isn't, because think about that. It isn't as if you are a stepdad that stepped in and then there were years and years and years. No, she had them. You were at the hospital, not him or not them. Because again, I really think, like I said, that it's just one person. But again, I could be wrong, but I really think it's just one person. But the reality is that it could be, you were there at the hospital for all three of them. You were there. You wrote your name on the paperwork. Because again, I'm pretty sure just the way that story was laid out, you wrote your name on that paperwork. So think about that. How are you even in your feelings now? You could have said something at any point, but you put your name on that paperwork. You were there for when they were born. You cannot step away now. You can. You could do whatever you want to do. But being a pastor, being of the faith, I can't see you being able to justify that and still look towards God and think that he's going to look at you favorably. Because again, this is what you have been doing. You have accepted this thing. You have 3 times moved on. You know what I think the real issue is that now that bitterness has built up. It's kind of like a callus. You know what I mean? It's like calluses don't start off mad thick where it's like layer and layer and layer. They start off small. And then over time, and that's what it is. It's that kid says something or does something, has a behavior, the way that they look different than you. Those things keep rubbing you the wrong way. And in them all rubbing you the wrong way, you then decided after 8 years, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So then the question becomes, and it's like I said, because it's hard now. It's hard now because when they were a baby, it's like, well, I don't really want to walk away. And again, because I can think in my head, obviously, like I told you, in my situation, I walked away immediately. There was no, and this is the other thing. Because we didn't immediately get divorced because I was trying to get her to put that paperwork in. She had 3 children over that time span that I was trying to get her to do the paperwork in Illinois. Because it was like, why would I file for divorce in South Carolina or file for divorce in California when I live here, but you don't, 1, and then 2, we got married in Illinois. You live in the same city that we got married in. Why would you, the same city where we got the paperwork, the same courthouse, same everything. Why would you just not go? I could send you the money, but I sign whatever paperwork because I've already signed 3 papers of denial of paternity. So why not just, but again, so yeah, she had 3 kids over that same time frame. But like I said, there was never a time when we were going to get back together. She actually said that she thought that maybe there was a potential with the first one. With the first one, she said that she thought that there might have been potential for us to get back together. But by like a year or 2 years, later, because I want to say her second son is only like a year behind the first one. What? And see what I'm saying? So you really wasn't trying to get it back together. But again, going back to this situation, you have been here this long. It's like, let go of the bitterness. Love your wife. Love your kids. Move on. Because, like I said, I would say something to her. I would let her know that I know. But at the end of the day, clearly, like I said, you gotta love her. You have to love those boys, because you wouldn't have stayed for 8 years. It wouldn't have been that long. You couldn't, when somebody don't want to be somewhere, they leave as soon as they can. Think about it. People leave when it really is their kids fast, when they don't really want to be in that situation. But you stay for 8 years. So, like I said, my personal opinion is that he should talk to her, bring it to the forefront, bring it to the light, bring everything to the light. So the fact that he can't have children, the fact that her children don't belong to him, that you have clearly been cheating on me, are all these by the same man. Figure it out and see if you can salvage what you have. Because obviously you didn't really want to let it go before. So don't let it go now. But again, like I said, just my thought. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed this message or you know, and again, like I said, in the comments, let me know what y'all think. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if y'all want more of this. If you don't want more of this, let me know. If you got stories, if you got situations that you're going through, that you're dealing with, you know, because again, at the end of the day, I'm always about helping people move forward. You know what I mean? Like, move forward with confidence and with knowledge, and not continue to move with emotion, because emotions get us all over the place. But facts and truth and looking at it as it really is, because real quick, and then I'm done. A lot of dudes, or at least one person commented talking about he was a simp, like he's a sucker, but no, he's a husband. So when you really love somebody, that's the thing that I feel like most of us nowadays are so afraid of, is to be that vulnerable, to be vulnerable enough to love somebody, that they could hurt us, that they could break our hearts. We don't even want to deal with that. And so because we don't even want to deal with it, he a sucker, he a simp, he a this, he a that, he a da-da-da-da-da. But the reality is, some of y'all daddies have been this exact same thing. They have been that person that you know is your daddy. And to this day, you still don't know anybody else as your daddy. You don't even know that you have a biological father. You only know this man as your father. You call him a simp? No, you call him daddy. You say that you love him. You appreciate all that he was for you. So you can't, in your situation, say that, but then turn around and call this man a simp or a sucker or he weak, or, you know what I'm saying, da-da-da-da. No, it's, you have allowed this thing to be because you loved. And the reality is, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to love, that's the only way that you know that you really love somebody, is when they have the potential, the ability, like that vulnerability. you are giving them, you are being vulnerable and giving them the ability to be able to actually hurt you, to be able to know what your weaknesses are and exploit them. It's possible. It happens. We are all capable of falling. But now it's like, don't treat this man because he met a woman and he loves her and he has invested all his time to call him a sucker, because the reality is he loved her. He still loves her, because if he didn't love her, he would just blow that whole thing up. And he wouldn't care where the body parts went. He would just blow it up. He would walk in there like a terrorist with a suicide vest on, and he would boom. And this kid go that way, and that kid go this way, and this kid and she and they lose the house and all kind. Like, he would, if love was not still in his spirit and in his heart, he would not still be there and be asking people on Facebook for advice. You dig? So anyway, y'all, like I said, I pray that y'all enjoyed this. I honestly did. I enjoyed this, and it actually ran on way longer. And again, let me know if I need to like shorten it or whatever. Let me know if I need to shorten these down a little bit. But at the end of the day, like I said, I wanted to address it as best I can, and not just him, because again, he probably will never see this, never hear me, but maybe it'll help somebody else that's in the same situation. Because the reality is, like I said, we all deal with all the different parts of what relationships can be, will be, have been, all that. So with that, like I said, leave your comments down below, or leave your comments wherever, Facebook, or obviously Facebook is also down below, YouTube is down below, but like, if you're listening to this and you're not seeing this, then it would be, wherever Apple or Google allows you to. And I want to say all of them are down below. So yeah, wherever, comment down below, leave your thoughts, leave your comments, leave your ideas, leave your stories, or hit me up. Matter of fact, you know what? If you're listening to this and you really want to like hit me up, you can hit me up on my Instagram or my Facebook as Black Velvet HD. Either one of those, I am available, and you can hit me up and DM me, and I can hear your story, and then I can, do one of these on it, or potentially, do a live or something like that, and I'll probably get more into that. The more, stories and requests that I get, I might do some of those. But like I said, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. And I pray that you have a wonderful one. Be safe. And I'll see you.